Internet World Wide Web. Now, everyone knows the Industrial Revolution, right? The first Industrial Revolution, which started with steam engines, fossil fuels, right? Second Industrial Revolution was an outcome of the electricity. The third Industrial Revolution, whose backbone was the internet, which is broadly the digital revolution. And then the fourth industrial revolution, we are part of the fourth industrial revolution, and it is a technological revolution. So at the beginning, when we were discussing about cyberspace, I referred so many technologies: artificial intelligence, big data analytics, cloud computing, and so many 3D printing and so on. So this fourth industrial revolution is all about all these new technologies, right? So third industrial revolution gave birth to something which has become so intricately close to our part of our lives is the internet, right? And we always call it the internet, not just internet, because there is just one and only one internet in this whole world, right? So very quickly, we'll also look at the legal definition of the computer network. It's not very relevant at this point of time, but I would recommend all of you to go and check section 2(1) J of the Information Technology Act for the purpose of definition of computer network. Because I want to rush through, because most of you are interested to talk about AI. So why not? Let's talk about AI. But before that, there are certain other aspects which we need to cover. So we'll just quickly try and touch upon them. And from there, we'll move on. So what is this internet? So this internet is nothing, but it is interconnection. What it is? It is interconnection of several computer devices, or lakhs and crores and billions and trillions of computer devices, which are connected through a network. Therefore, we were looking at the definition of computer network, right? So what is a network? It is an interconnection of thousands, lakhs, crores, billions and trillions of computer devices all across the world. ठीक है? पूरी दुनिया में जितने भी सिस्टम हैं, उन सब सिस्टम का इंटरकनेक्शन जो फैसिलिटेट करता है, द इंटरनेट वो है. ठीक है? Now the internet is something which we simplistically also call as network of networks. So how did it actually begin? So broadly, somewhere around early 1960s, the United States Department of Defense, they started an agency which they called as Advanced Research Project Agencies. Okay. Now this is Advanced Research Project Agency was broadly because it was peak of Cold War. Second World War ended from 1939 to 1945, and from 1945 to almost 1990, it was a 45 years of Cold War. During Cold War, the US and USSR, USA and the USSR, the USSR, which was broken down in 1989, 90, right? They were in constant, you know, uh, they were constantly developing their technologies to be ready for possibly Third World War, right? So there were a lot of efforts which were being done in form of, you know, uh, outer space exploration and so on, in order to develop their missile system, nuclear weapons, and so on, right? So this advanced research project agency, which was started in the United States in early 1990s, it developed a network of computers. Now, this network of computer was very important because prior to computer, or prior to this network of computer, the network which existed was broadly your telephone system, right? So we talked about telegraph, telephone, radio. Now, radio was not very efficient for long range communication. Now, all of you would be aware the United States is the third largest country in the world, right? So from that perspective, you have to understand that it's such a huge country, and if there is a world war, then there has to be, a network where, army can communicate with each other for the purpose of coordination among themselves, right? So how they could communicate? They could communicate only through telephone. So they wanted to replace these telephone systems because during war, if this telephone system comes down or breaks down, how the message could be transmitted from East Coast to the West Coast, which was very difficult. It's a huge country. So they started developing on something which we call as ARPANET, right? Advanced Research Project Agency Net, right? ARPANET. Now, this ARPANET for the first time was used in 1969, December of 1969, when I hope everyone is able to see the screen. So December 1969, there were four universities of United States of America which were connected with each other, and there was communication or information sent from one computer to another computer, right? December of 1969. Over a period of time till September 1972, this ARPANET slowly started expanding. Now, by 1983, or I should say by 1998, there were around 60,000 computers which were connected to the internet. Now, this is something which is very, very important for us to understand that at one point of time, I'm saying ARPANET, and then at other point of time, I'm saying internet. What is this? Whether it's ARPANET or internet. So the world's first network, not global network, please be with me. The world's first network was ARPANET, right, which was established in December 1969. Slowly, this ARPANET started expanding, covering various academic institutions in United States of America. And by 1983, the Department of Defense realized that this ARPANET cannot be used for communication for the purpose of armed forces. Therefore, it separated itself from ARPANET and started their own network for the communication of armed forces in the United States of America. And then finally, by 1989, it was decided that this ARPANET should be replaced by something which we today call as the internet. Okay. So the internet as a term is not a new term. It was coined way back in 1972. 1972, where it comes from the term internetwork. Internetwork, and you combine together, it became internet. So inter plus network, it gave us the term internet. Now, what is this internet as we stands today? As we understand today, it is a global network. So, which was the first network in the world? ARPANET. Which was the first global network in the world? ARPANET. Which is the global network in the world which exists today? We call it the internet. So, ARPANET started in 1969 and it died in 1989. Right? So, ARPANET began in 1969 and it ended by 1989. Whereas internet started developing from 1972 to 1974, where this internet expanded beyond United States of America and it covered other countries in Europe as well. So what is this internet? So internet is just an interconnection of computer nodes globally, right? What is this internet? Internet is interconnection of computer nodes globally. Now, if internet is an interconnection of computer nodes globally, then what is World Wide Web? Is there any difference between internet and the World Wide Web, or they are the same? Anyone? Any idea? Okay. So I think since you're not permitted to speak, no problem. So very quickly, what is the internet? So internet is nothing, but internet provides you a network for purpose of communication, right? What does internet provides you? Internet provides you merely a network for the purpose of communication. Now the problem is that suppose there are multiple individuals. Now Dr. Shweta has certain information, okay, and I want that information. So what I will do on internet, I will request, send an information or message to Dr. Shweta over internet, and I'll request Dr. Shweta that please send me details of this conference. Now, it's not necessary that Dr. Shweta is available on her computer 24/7. Then what she will do? Maybe tomorrow she is on holiday. So what she does, she comes day after and she checks her computer and she realizes that on the internet, I have requested Dr. Shweta for information regarding the certificate program. So immediately what she does, she attaches the brochure and send it to me over the internet. Okay. Now the point is that I did not check the email immediately. right? Or the information which was communicated to me by Dr. Shweta immediately. I was busy, so I could not check my computer. So what happened? There is a delay in receipt of information, and this was something which was very frustrating for Tim Bresner-Lee. So Tim Bresner-Lee was an employee at CERN, where the scientists could exchange information with each other, but then they would exchange information what I just explained you. And it brought in lot of inefficiency. So what Tim Bresner-Lee thought, rather than connecting with other scientists and requesting for information, how about if every scientist, whatever information they have, they put it on, they put it on a web page, right? So if I want to get to know about the certificate program, I will go to the university website and I will click on the certificate program, and I can download the brochure from the web page of the university, right? So rather than individually requesting, what happened, Tim Berners-Lee designed something in form of a world wide web of web pages. So what is internet? Internet is just the network. It does not provide you anything. It is just the network which interconnects different computer or computer systems. Whereas World Wide Web is a world, or worldwide or across the world web of web pages or interconnected web pages. Now, what are these web pages? These web pages are nothing but they are repositories of information. Now, the big question is, how do I make these web pages? So Tim Berners-Lee, what he did, he devised or he invented a language which he called hypertext markup language. And this language could be used for designing your web page. Then how do I search this web page on the internet? So he said every web page will have its address. What that address will be called? It will be called Uniform Resource Identifier, which we today called Uniform Resource Locator, right? So what should be the process of me searching for this URL? So he also devised a protocol, which he said hypertext transfer protocol. So you use this protocol for the requesting of a specific web page, which have been made using hypertext markup language. So what this was the original paper. What you're able to see on the screen, this was the original paper where Tim Berners-Lee proposed the World Wide Web to his boss, Michael Sandel. So the top left corner, you will be able to see the name. Michael Sandel was the boss of Tim Berners-Lee. In March of 1989, Tim Berners-Lee, who was an employee of CERN, proposed this model of web to Michael Sandel. Now, this is the evolution which happened, by the end of 1990, the first web page was made. By April 1993, the World Wide Web was made available to use by public without any charges. Now, this is what you are able to see is the first web page which was developed, right? So this is a screenshot of recreated page of first website which was developed by CERN. Obviously, Tim Berners-Lee as an employee developed this web page. So, all of us are able to see how pages have changed. So this is basically the difference. What is internet? Internet is just interconnection, which is there. Whereas when we talk about World Wide Web, so it is not an interconnection, but it is basically a web of web pages which can be accessed using the internet, right? I hope all of you were able